The chair lays out Senate Bill 17 as a matter of postponed business on second reading. The clerk will read the bill.
SB number 17 by Colcourse, relating to the purchase of or acquisition of title to real property by certain aliens or foreign entities.
Chair recognizes Mr. Hefner to explain the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, Senate Bill 17 is the strongest, most comprehensive, and broad law in the nation that protects us from hostile foreign ownership of our land. We have an obligation to protect our people, our food supply, and our supply chain. Members, Senate Bill 17 is about securing Texas land and natural resources and making sure that this precious resource does not fall prey to adversarial nations and oppressive regimes that wish to do us harm. Our adversaries speak loudly and often about their ambitions and motivations to break our country and its citizens, and the many strategies they will employ in an effort to do so. My constituents, your constituents, and the state of Texas will not allow this to happen. My primary motivation for bringing this bill forward are my constituents. Like many of you, I've had numerous conversations with the folks from my district and heard their rightful concerns about hostile adversaries controlling our land, our food supply, and our supply chains. Ceding control of Texas land, crops, energy deposits, rare earth materials, and water to our adversaries would bring about grave consequences for America's national security. Senate Bill 17 provides thoughtful and common sense protections that will preserve and protect these resources. Senate Bill 17 enacts a prohibition on purchasing or acquiring interest in real property for entities or individuals affiliated with countries designated as hostile adversarial nations. Designated countries are those countries that appear in at least one of the three most recent annual threat assessment lists that is produced by the United States Director of National Intelligence. Countries on this list have demonstrated their desire to harm this country and present a significant national security risk. In the 2025 annual threat assessment, only 4 state actors are named as threats: Russia, North Korea, China, and Iran. It is important to note that in North Korea and China, all land is owned by the state or communist collectives. In Russia and Iran, private property rights are curtailed and subject to seizure by the state. In all 4 named countries, Americans cannot buy land, and only in Russia can Americans buy residences in specific regions. United States citizens and legal permanent residents and companies or organizations under the control of United States citizens or legal permanent residents are not subject to the prohibition articulated in this bill. Senate Bill 17 prohibits governments of designated countries and companies with direct ties to these countries from purchasing or acquiring property in our state. It also prohibits individuals who ally themselves with these hostile countries from purchasing property. Under this bill, an individual will be prohibited from purchasing property in our state if they continue to associate themselves with a country that is hostile to our interest. Senate Bill 17 gives the Attorney General the authority to conduct investigations into prohibited purchases, and if the office finds that a violation has occurred, to take those findings to district court. If the court finds that a prohibited purchase has occurred, the ownership interest of the prohibited party will be divested. I want to take a moment to make something very clear. Senate Bill 17 does not base a property acquisition prohibition on any immutable characteristics, but rather on an entity or individual's action or inaction to sever ties with oppressive regimes or their affiliations to those who wish to do us harm. This bill is carefully crafted to ensure that the rights of Texans and lawful permanent residents of the United States are not infringed. A legislative effort of this nature must be made in good faith, and I'm proud of the work that we have done to ensure that in this case. Private property rights are a foundational cornerstone of the American dream. We have to be careful how we craft legislation when limiting those rights. Senate Bill 17 thoughtfully strikes a balance by exercising appropriate police powers reserved for the state within the bounds of the Texas and United States constitutions. It prevents entities and individuals with a direct line to governments that are hostile to the United States from purchasing property in this state. There should be no questions about the due process provided to persons subject to this bill. Whether civil or criminal, the bill provides for notice and a neutral hearing before a judge. Due process is crucial to our constitutional republic and must be part of this solution. Members, the safety of our fellow Texans and the sovereignty of our state are the foundation of what we do. We must not allow oppressive regimes who actively seek to do us harm to seize control and dictate their terms over our economy, supply chain, and our daily lives. I believe that this should not be an issue that divides us politically, but instead unites us as Texans. I appreciate your concerns, your consideration.
Mr. Wu, for what purpose?
Will the gentleman yield for questions?
Would you yield, Mr. Hefner?
Yes, I yield.
He will.
Mr. Hefner, I appreciate your intent in this bill in dealing with national security and dealing with the actions of hostile foreign governments. And that is your intent, to deal with the hostile foreign governments, correct?
It's the hostile foreign governments and those that affiliate themselves with those hostile foreign governments.
What does affiliate mean? What is your
Well-
definition of that in this bill?
Well, those that would,
I'm sorry, go ahead. Is affiliate defined in your bill?
yes.
Can you tell me where? Your definitions start on page 2. Is there a term that is defined in your bill that is, quote, affiliates, affiliated?
Well, it would be, I'm looking for, where's my questions? So it'd be, I mean, there's, golly, where is that thing?
Take your time.
Let me see what I... Affiliation is defined in the prohibitions. Persons who are agents of hostile governments or affiliated.
Okay. Again, what does affiliated mean?
I don't have the dictionary
No, in
definition
your
of
bill.
affiliated in front of me.
I'm sorry, this is, I mean, we're writing law here that is going to be enforced by the Attorney General. And you're saying that these people are affiliated with this country. I understand what agent means. Registered agents are defined in federal statute and in state statute. What is affiliated?
Well, the bill applies to an individual who is domiciled in a designated country, a citizen of a designated country who is domiciled outside of the United States in a country.
Is that what affiliated means?
I don't know that affiliated is specifically defined in the bill, but I think it would be the general definition of affiliated. Just read that.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so the undefined terms that are unambiguous will be given their plain and ordinary meaning.
Well,
So-
that's kind of the problem is affiliated could be anything.
Well, and what we've done is we've given the Attorney General pretty broad authority and freedom to investigate these
But
possible
I'm sorry, but
deals.
Before
So
we even get to the Attorney General, there is a restriction, right? This bill creates a restriction of people's rights that they can exercise. Is that correct?
if If the bill applies to them, yes.
And that's what we're trying to get to. So this bill has a restriction on their rights before it even gets to the Attorney General. They're restrained from
No.
exercising their rights.
No. It would be determined after a purchase has been made. If it is suspected that that purchase is not a legal purchase, then there would be a process by which that a complaint would be brought, an investigation would ensue, and then they would take it from there of how far, depending on the facts of the case and where that would lead them.
And so your intent is that people should be encouraged to purchase whatever property they want, and then the Attorney General investigates them, and then if the Attorney General decides that they can't have it, then the state is going to take the land from them. Or would you believe that your bill should say, if you fall into this class, you are prohibited from buying land, because if you do buy land, we will take it from you?
If you are subject to this bill, and it's spelled out on page 4, the individuals and the companies who are subject to this bill, and you purchase land in this state under these provisions, then you have made an illegal purchase. And there will be a process that will begin with an intake portal and an investigation and a hearing in district court,
Now-
appointment of a receiver, and a divestiture process.
So just as a thought exercise, if you have something that's illegal in your pocket, is that illegal when you have it, or is it only illegal after you're prosecuted?
I don't know how that has anything to do with this bill.
Well, see, the problem is your bill says that these people that fall under this class are restrained from exercising a right that they currently have. And if you exercise that right anyways, then the Attorney General will come take it back from you. Fair?
If you are prohibited under this bill,
Correct.
yes.
So this is a prohibition. Before the Attorney General even gets involved, it is a prohibition, correct?
No.
So are you saying right now that this bill, if people go purchase property that fall into that class, they're perfectly fine, even if the Attorney General does not investigate them?
The whole way the bill works, Representative Wu, is that a complaint has to be brought to the Attorney General, and then the process is followed from there. So there would have to be a complaint, there would have to be probable cause, there would have to be evidence, and the whole due process system would play out.
So right now, I think you're like splitting hairs a little bit here, but this bill says point blank that if you fall into this class, you are prohibited from purchasing land of any class that's listed, or any property that's listed. It's not just land, it's also mineral rights and water rights and timber rights. You are prohibited from doing those things, and if you take a prohibited action, such as purchasing these things, the Attorney General will act, or under investigation, or somebody will
If
report
you
it.
are subject to this bill, as outlined in the bill, and you make an illegal purchase under this bill, the purchase would be illegal, then yes, there will be a investigation and a complaint and a divestiture process, and the land will be divested.
Now, when you said you used the DNI list, the Director of National Intelligence Annual Threat Assessment, why that list?
Well, it's just, it's a common list that's referred to by the federal government as countries that have been designated as hostile to the United States and the well-being of our citizens. I mean, it's just well established.
Now, of the 16 states who have passed a law similar to Texas, there are only 2 other states that use this list. Most other states, including Indiana, most other states use the ITAR list, the International Trafficking in Arms Regulation list that the federal government carries, which would include countries like Belarus, Burma, Cuba, Syria, and Venezuela. Why not that list? That's the actual sanctions list.
We felt this was the best, most accurate list to refer to.
Why not a list that's used by Wisconsin, Oklahoma, North Dakota, Iowa, Idaho?
Because Texas is better.
Sorry,
We're going to do it our way.
That all foreign entities are prohibited. Why not prohibit all foreign entities from purchasing land in our state, like those states?
Well, no countries or countries are singled out in the bill.
The bill does not single out, but you understand the
But you're saying
application
why
of the
not
DNI
ban all
list
countries?
lists countries, right? But just like when this legislature passed these same laws 100 years ago, they did not list out Japanese Americans and Chinese Americans. They just said people who are ineligible for citizenship, because the United States government only passed one law that banned two groups of people from becoming citizens: Chinese people and Japanese people. This bill is doing the same thing, is it not?
No, it has nothing to do with your immutable characteristics. None.
Is your place of birth an immutable characteristic?
This bill is based on people's actions or inactions and their affiliations,
And where
not
they
their
were,
national origin.
where they were born, where they live, where they're a citizen of,
Where
has
they're a
nothing-
citizen of, and where they may be domiciled, yes, but that has nothing to do with their nationality or their immutable characteristics. It has to do with whether or not they have severed ties with these hostile regimes.
If someone is born in a country, do they have a choice about whether they are a citizen of that country?
Yes, once they're an adult, they can start the process to become a citizen of another country, to become a naturalized citizen. Happens all the time.
Yeah. Most people would come to the United States to start that process, right?
Correct.
Okay. Except that those people now would be banned from buying land under your bill.
Not if they come here the right way, and they have severed ties with a hostile foreign government
How do they sever ties?
by beginning the citizenship process.
But you understand they
Or a
can't
work
begin.
visa, or a way to come here legally, a way to show that they're disassociating with a hostile government.
Do you understand that your bill also affects lawful immigrants? It says it in your bill.
Say that again, I'm sorry.
Your bill affects the rights of lawful immigrants. Not undocumented, not illegal, but lawful immigrants approved by the United States government to be here. In fact, invited here to the United States often.
No, I don't believe that's correct, Representative Wu.
Mr. Hefner, I'm not sure if you understand your own bill, but you understand that the way this bill is written, while you have carved out green card holders and citizens, you have left the entire class of visa holders.
This bill does not apply to lawful permanent residents.
It does not. I just said that. But it does apply to visa holders, including people who are studying, people who here have coming for work and have been here for decades, including people who are invited here under the EB-5 visa program to invest in our state. You understand that, right?
To my understanding, if they are here lawfully, then this bill would not apply.
You understand that your bill does not do that, right? Do you understand what your bill does?
Yes?
But you understand, like, lawyers after lawyers have looked at this and say, at most, absolutely 100% affects visa holders.
I don't believe it does.
Okay. If you're not open to these other assortments, Montana and Tennessee, they use the active sanctions list kept by the Office of Foreign Assets Control in the federal government. Literally, the list of countries that we are currently sanctioning for being hostile to us. Why not use that list?
I'm not really concerned with what Tennessee and other states do. I'm concerned with what Texas is going to do.
This is what the federal government is doing. The list, called the Federal Active Sanctions List, is held and maintained by the United States government in relation to other countries, dealing with countries that are actively hostile to us, and does the United States feels the need to actively sanction them?
Representative Wu, we felt the National Threat Assessment List established by the Director of National Intelligence was the appropriate list of countries that we needed to refer to.
So is there any specific reason why that list and not any of these other
I
lists?
just answered the question.
Okay. If a person is prohibited from buying land They're afraid the Attorney General is going to come get them because they have purchased it against this bill, against this law that you're trying to pass. And do they have to do anything before that? Do they have to commit any kind of crime? Do they have to commit any violations? Do they have to be convicted of anything?
If they purchase land in violation of this bill, then there is a process by which an investigation will take place, and if the facts so prove, divestiture will take place.
And the basis of that divestiture is that A, they are a citizen of one of the countries that you have listed. I think that's it. Right? They are a citizen of that country, they're domiciled in that country, and that is the reason why their land is now being taken from them. Is that correct?
Their land has been taken from them because they have not disassociated or unaffiliated with a hostile foreign government, and they have bought property in this state in violation of this law.
Do you understand that one of the key markers of whether or not you're granted a green card to be allowed to be a permanent resident, which you need to be in order to become a citizen?
The gentleman's time has expired.
Speaker, I move to extend the time.
There is a motion to extend time. Is there objection? Chair hears none, so ordered. The time is extended.
In your bill, the requirements to have the Attorney General come and take land away, the requirement is that this person purchase it against this law. And this law says you could not have purchased land because you are domiciled in one of these countries. And you're a citizen, you're domiciled in one of these countries, correct?
Correct.
That is the entirety of it. That is the entirety.
That is not the entirety of it. There's a whole section here, Representative Wu. An individual who is domiciled in a designated country is a citizen of a designated country who is domiciled outside of the United States in a country other than a designated country, and for which the individual has not completed the naturalization process for becoming a citizen of that country. It applies to a person who is a citizen of a designated country who is unlawfully present in the United States.
You understand that definition, that very definition that you just read, would include every single visa holder in the United States.
Are visa holders in the United States lawfully or unlawfully?
Lawfully.
This
That's
says
what a visa is.
unlawfully present in the United States.
That's what a visa is. It is lawful permission to be here.
It does not apply to them if they are a lawful legal permanent resident.
In the definition you just read, an individual who is domiciled, who is a citizen of a designated country, who is domiciled outside the United States, where does the word lawfully present appear in there?
In the exceptions section of the bill, it says an individual who is a citizen or lawful permanent resident of the United States.
Yes, visa holders are neither permanent residents.
I believe they are.
I'm sorry? Visa holders are permanent residents? Is that correct?
Is this right here? This bill exempts lawful permanent residents.
Explain to me visa holders.
Visa holders? I don't have that term in the bill.
And I am telling you right now, your definition, I understand you're not an attorney, okay? I'm telling you that an individual who is domiciled in a designated country, who is domiciled somewhere else, that is every single visa holder. People who have been here, people who were invited here to come work for UT, to be in the labs, to be teaching, to do all these different things, all of them are F1 visa holders. Many of them have been here for decades. They are domiciled legally in another country because as a visa holder, you are not allowed to legally say you are domiciled in the United States.
Are they not a legal permanent resident?
Those are
they've
not
been here
permanent
for
residents. You have
decades?
to apply for permanent residency. In fact, that's the problem, because in order to apply for permanent residency, you have to buy a house. You have to have a permanent home. And you're saying to the people, we want you to become a citizen, but you can't even get on the pathway to become a citizen because we're banning you from the thing that's going to allow you to get on the pathway. Do you understand that?
Look,
Do you want to pull your bill down and let me explain
no,
all this
sir,
stuff?
I do not.
Okay. I mean, I would just assume that you knew it because you never came and talked to me or anything. Let me ask you, do you believe that just because someone is domiciled in that other country, in one of the listed countries, that the fact that their domicile is listed there, that is where their originating home is, does that make them?
Mr. Wu, we have a whole stack of amendments that are going to be considered here today.
Can I finish
So
my question?
Why don't we have those conversations and see how these amendments work
Because
out?
I would like to ask you these questions right now.
Fire away.
Okay. Does the fact that someone is domiciled, they were born in that country, they have a home in that country, then they came to the United States, does the very fact that they are domiciled in that country make them a hostile foreign actor?
The way things work in these hostile foreign countries is they have a way of controlling their citizens. They don't live in a free society like we do here. The people who suffer the most under the heavy boot of the evil communist dictators are the people in those countries.
Absolutely.
And they use tactics to control those people. They hold their families ransom and hostage back home so that those people that are here will perform certain duties, collect evidence or information, espionage and other things, and go back to them.
Absolutely. And that, just like my family and just like Hubert Vaux's family, we fled those places and came here, often
Yes.
as refugees, often as visa holders.
Yes.
And we had to earn our way into a green card. Then we had to earn our way into a citizenship.
And
The
we want what we want to do here, represent my heart, my goal in this bill, and hopefully by the end of the day, we'll have a good bill that works for everybody. We have amendments and things to discuss. That's how this process works. We want people who want to escape the heavy boot of the communists, these evil
Absolutely.
dictators, and we want them to
100%.
be able to come here the right way, to come through the front door, through the legal process, and live the American dream.
Yep.
We absolutely do.
So let me ask you one more time. Given that there were refugees like me and many other people who came here to escape those conditions, do you believe that every immigrant who has a domicile back in that home country, do you believe that everyone who's coming over is a hostile foreign actor?
No.
No? Okay. That's what I want. That's all I want. That's all I wanted to say, that not every single person is not a hostile foreign actor. There's good people who come here, right? Okay.
Sure. If you could ask that question at the beginning, it would have saved a lot of time. Go ahead. I don't mean to be disrespectful. Please go ahead.
But your bill, because they're arriving as visa holders, whether they have temporary protected status, whether they're granted immigration visas, they are all visa holders until they become permanent residents.
I believe there may be an amendment to address that issue.
Okay. Now, as visa holders, they are now prohibited under your bill. Let's go moving time forward. They're prohibited under your bill from purchasing land.
I'm not sure that they are, but we do have an amendment that
Would you
may
take my
address
word
that
that
and
they
clarify
are?
that.
Please. Like in your bill, it's point blank. Right? And this law would restrict them from purchasing land because they are domiciled in another country and they have not had the time and the opportunity to undo that domicile, because they have not had a chance to become a permanent resident, because they have not had a chance to become a citizen yet. They are now restricted from buying a home, a commercial property, a business, farmland, or even owning mineral interest or water interest.
Again, we have some amendments to consider that may address some of your concerns.
those restrictions, do they happen with any evidence that they've done something wrong? That like you think that they're a spy or a traitor? Does your bill require that?
This bill states plainly how this bill would apply to someone and what happens if it applies to them.
So just take the four corners of the bill as evidence. Right? The bill spells out everything we need, right?
We're not finished with the bill, Mr. Wu. We have amendments to
That's fair.
consider.
Does your bill talk about CFIUS at all? CFIUS.
I don't believe so.
Okay. Do you know that CFIUS is the the Federal Committee on Foreign Investment in the United States, literally the group and agency that is tasked with figuring out whether land purchases by foreign actors are appropriate or not?
I'm fully aware of CFIUS, and I'm also aware that it's largely a volunteer process, and it lacks teeth, and it doesn't work. And so it's very slow, it's very tedious, there's holes in it. There are folks that have gotten by that process, and so instead of waiting on the federal government to fix anything, where Texas is going to do it. CFIUS is not sufficient.
The gentleman's time has expired.
Mr. Speaker, I raise a point of order against further consideration of SB17 under Rule 4, Section 32, on the grounds that the background and purpose statement in the bill analysis is substantially and materially misleading.
Please bring your point of order forward, Mr. Wu.